Have you been following the story of Punch the Macaque? If you're like me, you're rooting for him, cheering for him, feeling so bad for him, and you're wanting him to win. And I get that. But are you thinking about the lessons that we can learn from Punch and from the rest of the Macaque troupe? I was sharing with my son the story of Punch the Macaque, and he is in his late 20s, so he hadn't heard of it, couldn't care less. But I was so drawn to it. I was telling him how I saw Punch getting dragged in a circle, and it interrupted my sleep. And I woke up this morning and saw that he'd been doing better. And I wondered if it was a conspiracy, and was he really doing better? Was that really a different macaque that was finally had found a friend? And just way too invested. But I realized that it's not just me. It's become a whole sensation. That's fine, but I saw a Washington Post article that talked about what we can learn from why we're so attached to Punch's story and how it really taps into that part of us that maybe has felt bullied before or has felt as if we were isolated. But I also think that we should pay attention to the lessons to how are we acting like other macaques in the troupe. So for instance, when are we working with a coworker who maybe doesn't seem like they are part of the team or part of the crew, and how much do we just kind of ignore them and go on about our business and create this sense of them being other? So how can we instead pull them in more and make them a part of it to the extent that they want to be, because maybe we're not the in crowd that we think we are and they don't want to be bothered. But how much can we just encourage them? Think about those people who are deemed high performers and how as managers we may have an affinity bias where we naturally are drawn to certain people and we want to give them certain projects versus thinking about who haven't I tapped into lately for a project? How do I balance out the work? How do I give those stretch opportunities to more people, including the people who I don't think of as my star performers? We often create our little punches in our lives. We cause them to be isolated, to be othered. Maybe we're not sharing resources and information with them as much. Maybe we're not sharing opportunities. Even in terms of professional colleagues, I know I've told so many coaches how most of my coaching clients have come through other coaches. So I don't have to feel like I have to hoard opportunities. I share freely with coaches, and that reciprocity always comes back to me. As much as you may be empathizing with Punch and him being the punching bag, if you will, of the macaques, and now having to learn to make friends in a difficult environment, how much are you creating that difficult environment yourself, either for your peers or for the people who work for you or among your friend group? And instead, try to bring other people into your group so that they're part of your troupe and you're not being that macaque. Thanks. I'll see you next time.